Space pilot Mr. Cool Eye here. And, well, here we are. Once again. Yep, we're back to the 10 random facts. Yep. Well, you ready? 'Cause I am. That's right. It's time for 10 more random facts you may or may not know. The holidays may be over for now, but the facts sure ain't. So let's get started with fact number 1. Grass Bridge. The Quetzalcoatl Grass Bridge has been rebuilt by hand every summer for more than 500 years. The 91-foot long or 28-meter suspension bridge spans the Apurimac River near Huinchari, Peru. The Quetzalcoatl is one of the last remaining hand-woven bridges from the Inca Empire. It is rebuilt every year to keep it safe to cross. Locals use traditional weaving techniques to twist and braid grass into sturdy ropes that replace the old ones. Incredibly, bridge is completely rebuilt in just 3 days. Dang, that's having to rebuild it every year just to ensure it is safe to cross. I mean, at least it only takes 3 days, which is pretty quick construction time for a bridge, you know? Wow. That is crazy, man. Hand woven. Man, most bridges today aren't made from materials that, you can hand weave together. They're made from like metal or brick or concrete and stuff. Right? Real sturdy stuff. That is wild. Alrighty, time for fact number 2. Messi Meadow. Crop farmer Maximiliano Spinazzi planted his cornfield in Las Condoras, Argentina, so that when it grew it formed a giant 124-acre or 50-hectare image of the nation's 2022 World Cup hero, soccer star Lionel Messi. Dang. That is a large cornfield. And I mean, you can grow your cornfield into any image you want. I mean, it'll, take a bit to get it exactly right, because it's hard to see the image from the ground, standing on the ground. In the air, well, you can see it. I mean, you wouldn't be able to plant the corn from the air, right? But that is, it's impressive. Pretty impressive, if you ask me. Well, let's move on to fact number 3. Souvenir spoons. Cami Pohl from Davenport, Iowa, has a collection of more than 12,400 souvenir spoons, commemorating famous people, places, and events. Her collection began with a set of 1904 St. Louis World's Fair spoons gifted to her by her great-grandmother. That's a lot of spoons. More than 12,000? Like, where do you keep that many spoons? I mean, like, man. Like the common household with their, silverware set. I mean, they're gonna have a few spoons. I mean, not a lot, but enough, you know. But like 12,400. That's a lot. That is just an insane amount. I mean, people have collections. That's the first I've ever heard of someone having a collection of spoons. I mean, that makes you think. Is there someone with a large collection of forks? What about butter knives? Who knows? Maybe ice cream scoops? Alrighty. It's time for fact number 4. Super stop. When the driver of his school bus suddenly lost consciousness at the wheel, 13-year-old Dylan Reeves saved his 66 Michigan schoolmates by steering the vehicle to safety. Seeing the driver pass out, Dylan rushed to the front, took control, stopped the bus from veering into traffic, and calmly brought it to a halt. Dang. That had to have been a little scary, right? Because, like, when you're in a bus or a vehicle of any kind, and the one driving the vehicle suddenly passes out, whether because of a heart attack or some other reason, that could be a little scary because, it gets even more dangerous for you because no one's in control of the car, right? But in those situations, you gotta stay strong and, try and, stop the situation from getting worse. You gotta know what you're doing. Don't panic, or try not to. Alrighty. Let's move on to fact number 5. High cliff. The cliff face called Verona Rupes on Miranda, one of Uranus's moons, is 12.5 miles or 20 kilometers high, more than 10 times the depth of the Grand Canyon. Given the low gravity on Miranda, it would take a person 12 minutes to fall from the top of the cliff to the bottom. That's a long time to fall from 12.5 miles high. I mean, that's pretty high. That's, taller than the Grand Canyon. Right? But, like, I mean, even though it is a slower fall, I mean, that could still be nerve-wracking being on the top of that. But I wouldn't try jumping from it just to see if you don't take fall damage, right? It's it is likely that you could take some damage, maybe not as much, as you would on Earth, right? Due to the different gravities, but I still wouldn't advise it. Not that those who, would be on said moon, exploring it, would try that. Because they have smarts. They're not, they're less likely to try and do something stupid like that. Right? They know what they're doing. They're professionals. But, anyways, let's move on to fact number 6. Tens of towers. There are more than 50 replicas of the famous Eiffel Tower of Paris, France, located across the world. Among them are towers in Tokyo, Japan, Sydney, Australia, and Gomez Palacio, Mexico. There are at least 9 in the US alone, including in Paris, Michigan, Paris, Tennessee, and Paris, Texas. Dang. That's a lot of replicas of a famous landmark. I mean, I'm sure that other famous landmarks have their replicas, like the Statue of Liberty, maybe the Pyramids of Giza. That's, man, that is wild. Maybe some replicas out there have like a special touch added to them, because of the state or country they're in. Alrighty, let us move on to fact number 7. War films. Before finding success as an author of children's books, Dr. Seuss wrote propaganda films for the U.S. Army during World War II. That is quite interesting. I mean, obviously, people, like Dr. Seuss or whatever, did things before they got to the, main thing they're known for. Like Bob Ross wasn't always a painter. He used to be a drill sergeant. Bet you didn't expect that, right? The peaceful Bob Ross being an army drill sergeant. But hey, shows you don't really know everything about someone. But man, Dr. Seuss, the man known for rhyming, once wrote propaganda films for the U.S. Army during World War II. Could you imagine a Dr. Seuss rhyme based around World War II? That is... One bomb, two bomb, one city, two cities, Japan is wiped off the map. Okay, that probably didn't rhyme. And that, I probably could pick something better, I'm sure. But yeah. It just, yeah, yeah, that's, yeah, no, making a Dr. Seuss type rhyme out of something that happened in World War II, it just doesn't work. I'm sure someone out there probably could, but yeah. Alrighty, how about we move on from that to fact number 8. Oh, bridge duets. Los Angeles musician Nate Merceru released an album featuring music from San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. In high winds, the bridge made a humming sound so loud that it could be heard 3 miles or 4.8 kilometers away. That is quite interesting. I mean, there's math and everything, and there's music and just about everything. I'm sure technically you could find music in everything, but I mean, there's probably one or two things out there you can find music or make music out of. Like a black hole, potentially. I'm sure someone probably has or could, but it seems highly unlikely, right? But who knows? You can create amazing things when you put your mind to it. But that had to sound pretty good, right? Well, let's move on to fact number 9. Amazon ordeal. Jehoan Acosta from Bolivia survived 31 days lost in the Amazon jungle by drinking rainwater collected in his shoes and by eating worms and insects. You gotta do what you gotta do to survive. That is, man. 31 days lost in the Amazon jungle. That, But he survived, which is pretty incredible. I mean, you gotta be real careful, because you never know where you could get lost. Because like getting lost in somewhere like the Amazon jungle, yeah, that's, worse than getting lost in the city. Because at least in the city you can get reception and, pull up a map. Unless your phone's dead. In which case, well, I mean, unless you know how to read a paper map, or, if you're in your car and you have a charger, put your phone on charge, then you'll get your map. But in the case of being in the Amazon jungle, you ain't getting no reception there. It's the jungle. With animals and trees and insects and birds. There ain't no cell phone towers in the jungle. Oh man. I wonder how many of you thought when I said Amazon ordeal, you first thought I was referring to the shipping company, like an ordeal with some Amazon package, and not the jungle. There's one or two of you that probably thought it. Alright. Let's move on to fact number 10. Secret snacks. The deep pockets of Draco Malfoy's robes were sewn shut after filming the third Harry Potter movie because English actor Tom Felton, who played Malfoy, kept sneaking snacks onto the set. That is crazy. I mean, that is two now. Right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, by saying two, Robert Downey Jr. did it as well. That's right. Tony, the man who plays Tony Stark, or I should say played Tony Stark, also brought snacks onto the set. Like, that is crazy. That you have to have your costume's pockets sewn shut because you kept sneaking snacks onto there. Right? And more than likely, it was also probably because, potentially some of the other child actors decided to, copy what he was doing. Right? Because he was doing it and was, able to kind of get away with it, so they thought they could too. Right? Monkey see, monkey do. Oh man. Mm-mm-mm. That is crazy. But there you have it. There was 10 random facts you may or may not have known, but you know now. Whether any that you knew is so let me know down below, Joe. If you have any additional information on the facts, feel free to put that down in the comments too. You know, someone might find it interesting. I'm sure I might. And if you don't know what to say and you just feel like saying hi, well, hi, hola, bonjour. Oh man. If you enjoyed, leave a like. And, you could always subscribe and join the randoms on the facts train. Or, no, the facts spaceship. Right? You can join us on our trip through the facts verse. And you can hit that notification bell so you can get notified the second a new batch of random facts is beamed to you. You'll never have to guess when it's there. You can learn this stuff the second it's beamed to you. That's right. And that's a fact. Oh, 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 oh. And, make sure to share this with others so they have the chance to join us on this journey through the facts first. Don't just come on by yourself. Let others join you. These facts are meant to be shared, meant to be heard by everybody. Don't become a fact hog. Share this with others. Let them know there's 10 random facts that they might not know, and they might definitely find it interesting. Well, anyways, I'm Space Pilot Mr. Cool Guy, and as I always say, dear randoms, to infinity and more facts.
Humans call it a cliff. I call it an inconvenient way to test gravity. Just subscribe. The cosmos could use the laugh.